Hey, everybody. Happy Friday. We are at the end of the week of our father's chat, I guess you would say, talking about relationships with dads and how they affect us. So, a couple of things before I get to talking. I always like to start talking about this in the beginning. I know everybody's not on. I figure everybody will come on when they come on, and then I know people will catch the replay. So, one, if you're a person who's coming back for the replay, just so I can kind of see who's, if you want to, no pressure. If you want to put hashtag replay, I saw my good friend Bethany put that in, and I thought that was pretty cool. So, if you're catching on a replay, just put hashtag replay so I can see that you caught it. It's kind of cool just to see who's dropping by, checking in. Even if you're catching a few minutes, that's fine. You don't have to be in forever. Even if you're getting a nugget here or there, that's cool too. I always forget this, but I'm remembering it this time. If you could push share, if you can share this so that it can go around, I always forget that. Um, so that is my other thing to push share. Oh, my thing didn't change. Hold on. I'm multitasking on guys. It should be. Oh, I never changed it. Hold on. I got y'all. I'm getting good, y'all. There it goes. I changed it because today is women, it's not men. Apologize about that. Okay, so I thought this actually would be really good, a good day to start talking about this because it's been a lot of stuff going around in the news with, of course, beloved Kobe Bryant and his daughter passing away, Gigi. And I thought it would be good because we're seeing a lot of stuff out there with him playing basketball, him being in the Olympics, him just being all around seems to be like a great guy. But the thing that really caught my eye when I see his videos is his connection with his daughters. Like I never see a time in any of the videos or any of the pictures that he's not smiling or being happy with his daughters. And I think that is such a great thing to see. And so I wanted to come on and really talk about that. Thank goodness, mine, because I was like, I don't see no eyeballs. So is this going through? So I wanted to show that when a father and a daughter have a connection, daughters learn some things that help them thrive in other relationships. And they're very key and instrumental. And you can see it in everyday relationships, but generally you see it even more so in like the male female dynamic. And you see it in that kind of relationship. So he has, you see this kind of back and forth banter that men have with their daughters. So the first thing I say, so the way I'm starting it off is, hey, babe, the first way I started off is by saying, I want to say what they learn from their dads, and then I'll assess how this may show up in a negative way and how it's something that just needs to be overcome and dealt with. So I believe when a father and a daughter when they have a strong connection physically and emotionally, a daughter learns kindness from her father. So when you see fathers and daughters interacting, daughters learn a kindness. It doesn't matter how big, how burly, how masculine, how aggressive a man is. It's something about his daughter tends to calm the savage beast inside of him. And it doesn't matter how over the top he tends to be. When fathers are emotionally in tune and connected and attached to their daughters and in a healthy manner, daughters tend to bring this light into their father's eye. They tend to bring this joy. And in return, daughters learn how to be kind. They learn this kindness from relating to their dads, a kindness that might be difficult to learn in other manners because they have this interaction with the opposite sex that's a positive one. So they have this person who they may see stomping around, being upset or angry or showing all his testosterone in one avenue. But when they see them, they light up and they soften. And, you know, you hear the stories about daughters having their dads wrapped around their fingers. And that is an aspect that women learn from their dads. So I want to read what I have. So they learn you can take the strongest and most masculine guy. When a woman grows up disconnected, she may struggle to show kindness because she has not practiced that dynamic with her dad. There's this back and forth dynamic. Now, I also wanted to say this in the beginning. These are principles and ideas that I've came up with, that God has shown me, that I've seen in when I've done counseling sessions, when I've interacted with women. And these are just kind of revelations. It might not pertain to you. You might be a person who has not had a great interaction with your father and may be the sweetest person in the world with your husband or your spouse or whatever. Absolutely, babe. I hope you have granddaughters, babe. So it doesn't mean that these are definite, like these are law. These are just some observations. And then these are some things I want you to think about. And the reason why I'm pointing them out is because, uh, don't start, Raquel. Don't get on here starting. So when they grow up and they have this disconnection, yeah, kindness precedes. What do you mean kindness? Like, absolutely, they have this kindness. So they practice it. This teaches girls how to be kind to the opposite sex. When a woman grows up disconnected, she may struggle to show kindness because she has not practiced the dynamic with her dad. Fathers and daughters have a relationship that goes through many ups and downs, starting from this baby girl and going into this teenage years. And through this roller coaster ride, fathers helps his daughters to regulate her emotions and helps to teach her kindness towards people, especially men. And so there's this roller coaster ride that goes on with women, and any woman knows, hormones start coming in. The relationship with the father and daughter may have started off in this sweet, kind, beautiful interaction. That's my baby girl. That's my angel. And then as she goes through this growth process and this movement, she's starting getting angry. Hey, Vi, don't be in the corner now. She starts going through this process of growing up, and she goes through these tumultuous spaces, and she starts going through her teen years, and her dad helps sharpen that side of her. He help her. He helps say to her, it's okay, babe. I know you're angry. They have their fights. They have that back and forth. But the daughter also recognizes that the father loves her. And though she's being mean, the father is still showing her kindness. And so the daughter practiced how to be nice and how to rein her emotions back in with a person of an opposite sex. And he teaches her how to be sweet. And so I believe that when there's this connection that goes on with the father in the house, there's something that develops. Yeah, you would have been useless with a daughter, babe. All right, two, another thing that a strong father-daughter connection teaches is reliability. When a father is in his daughter's life, he teaches her it's okay to rely on people. When you grow up and your father is not around, you question people's reliability. A woman has one of the biggest needs that women need is they have a need to feel protected. And in that need of protection is this level of being or people being reliable. And so if she has a father that is there for her, that connects with her, that helps her, she learns that when I get in the jam, when I get in a position, when I get in this space, I have somebody that's bigger than me, that's wiser than me, that has more resources than me, that can help bail me out of these jams. And so she recognizes, now sometimes they can use it to a fault, but they recognize that they can become reliable on something. I can say that's true because I see it with my male children. I choose to be kind. Absolutely, Proceda. It's a choice. Absolutely. And so there's this back and forth that a father instills in his daughter that, hey, babe, I'm here for you if you need me. If you get in a pickle, if you get in a jam. And so it teaches women to kind of let their guard down in certain areas. So it says it teaches them consistency. When a father gives his word and follows through, women learn that they can trust people. When fathers are not reliable, women learn to trust their own strength and learn to struggle alone because they learned that their father didn't have their back. And so what ends up happening is when women grow up in a place where their father is not connected, then they realize they have to rely on their own strength. Or if they're with a strong mother, they have to rely on the strength of another female. And then they become very distrustful to the male presence. How is it that as women, we end up with men like our fathers? Like, why are we attracted to toxic relationships, even though we do not want a toxic situation? Oh, I'm glad you asked that, Vian. So here's a theory that I always think about is because you attract to what you're used to. You attract to what you recognize. So it's this theory that I'm reading about. I don't know it 100%. I'm still studying it, but it's basically the idea that you're addicted to unhappiness. And so you've learned how to be unhappy. So you think that this is what makes me happy. this man stomping around screaming and doing this and doing that. You've seen it all your life. You've been around that all your life. So you think that's love. You equate this abusive situation to love. And so when you get older, you attract to somebody who has that type of appearance or that type of the mannerisms, because all your life you thought that was love. Or some people go the opposite extreme. Instead of having somebody that's really aggressive, they attract to somebody that's extremely passive, which is still not good. Well, I don't want anybody who even resembles aggressiveness. So I want somebody who I can dominate. And so therefore, I'm going to pick somebody who looks nothing like my father. And therefore, I'm going to have a different set of issues. So that kind of goes with that. So the dysfunction is we're some kind of way attracted to the dysfunction because the dysfunction is familiar to us. It's a familiar level. So that's why. Hopefully I answered it. All right. So we learned this. So this reliability. 3, security and protection. Fathers are naturally protective of their daughters, sometimes to a fault. And so there's this desire for fathers to protect their precious, innocent, wonderful baby girls. They don't want people to why are you doing the wild face, James? They don't want people to take advantage of their daughters. So they teach their daughters their value and their worth, letting them know that not just anyone should have access to their goodies. So here's the sexual piece of it. So now I'm not saying mothers can't teach their daughters. Mothers are next week. I'm not saying mothers can't teach their daughters this, because my mother was very proficient in teaching me a lot about my value and a lot about my worth. So I'm not saying mothers don't have a big stake in this and a very big responsibility. But it does come to be that fathers give a male perspective of it. So, for example, my mother could tell me all day and all night that as a woman, I should keep my body in check. I should do this. I should do that. But when my father would come to me and say, listen, this is what men are like, it clicks in my head differently because I recognize that he is a man. And clearly there's something he knows about men that I don't know. And so I relate to something that he's saying. My dad was in and out. This is what Vion's saying. So when I look for a relationship, I want someone that wants to stay around. But the man I've experienced stays for a while and then eventually leaves. So then, Vion, what I would suggest for you is that you would have to figure out and would have to work through the pattern of that. And so basically in relationships are patterns and systems. And so the way you break a pattern is you have to figure out how the pattern began, and then you have to move away from that. So, patterns are a consistent movement. And so if you're constantly picking people who are going in and out, you have to first figure out, why am I picking people who move in and out? What is it about that person that attracts me to them? What is it about them that draws me to them? Why is it that I want to be around this person? Do you see it? Do you see that quality up front? So it's about questioning things. And that actually comes down to my last point. And it's really about vetting people. Most women get into issues with men when they don't have fathers around, because having a father around teaches you how to vet men. Many women pick men because they don't have a very good vetting process. They don't ask questions. They don't make boundaries. And that's the next one. They don't set standards. And how can you set a standard for something if you've never saw the standard before? So if you've never seen a clean room, if you've grown up and your house was always junky, if your house was always a mess, and that's what you grew up in, well, you don't know the standard of how to get a clean house. And so you just assume everybody has a junky house. And so therefore, fathers, when you grow up with a connection with them helps you set standards. They help you vet. All right, Glenisha, I see that the girls around my age feel that if they can't depend on the dad, then they can't trust anyone. That's a good point. I hear a lot of girls say, oh, my dad broke my heart before any boy could. And that's a really good point. And so I would say with those young ladies that it starts with forgiveness. So the bottom line is that it begins in a place of forgiveness. It begins in a place of, I can't hold other people responsible for the pain inflicted by my dad or by my mom. You have to allow people the chance. And that comes back to vulnerability as well, too. And that goes back to my second point about reliability. How can I rely on somebody who I don't know when the person who was responsible for my life is unreliable? And so that's when it comes down to really digging deep And what did you mean, Mom, when you says makes us thirsty for love? I saw it, but I didn't hear what made you type that. So absolutely, I agree with that, Glenisha. Um, so security and protection. The fourth one, the last standard is like you were saying, Vian, what I was saying with you, set standards. Fathers demonstrate a standard. They show their daughters how they should be loved and what they should tolerate. When fathers are disconnected, women look to the outside to find their standards. So, for example, if you don't have a father in the house, you start allowing other outside, like what I said about men the other day. When there's not a man in the house, a dad in the house, they look toward outside places to set these how they learn how to be a man by outside sources. So same thing with young ladies for fathers. I don't know what it looks like to be with a great guy. I don't know what it looks like to marry somebody great. So what I'm going to do is look on reality TV, look to the music videos, look to my auntie's boyfriend, look to my cousin's boy. You look to all these outside sources, and then you start developing your standards based on outside sources. They're not always bad sources, but generally you don't have a way of knowing if they're good or bad standards. You see your auntie crying, you see your cousin crying, you see everybody on reality TV throwing wine in each other's face and throwing flutes across the way, and every man cheating on everybody. And so you don't see anybody having a successful relationship with a man. And so your standard becomes, well, there is no such thing as a good man. And so therefore, I can't find a good man. So therefore, I accept whatever comes my way. It's because since your father wasn't in there to show you that good men exist, there was no way to set a standard. Glenisha, some people are never taught how to forgive. Forgiveness is a lifestyle. That's good. I like that. Glenisha, forgiveness is a lifestyle. So absolutely. So setting the standards, and they look to the outside. So I didn't really have a long one today. I know it's Friday night. These are just some little points on how fathers affect women and how it goes into. I didn't want to get it very deep into how it reflects. Well, at least not on these. I didn't want to get into how it affects your relationships with your husbands and all this other things. But I want you to look at those points, especially like the kindness, because one of the things that I'm hearing men say is that they feel a lot of women today are not kind and they're not sweet. And I get to the reason why they may believe that. And I get to the reason that, thanks, Amber. I get to the understanding why they may feel that way. Like why they may feel that they're not, I feel like women, why they may have to feel hard and why they might have to feel like they have a layer on them. Because give us more. What am I giving? And then Raquel, why not what? The other thing is that how do you do this? How do you make these situations run with relationships and things of that nature? So I see you guys asking stuff. Ask me more questions, ask me more topics. So next week's topics are going to be about moms. So feel free to ask me questions about what you think about moms. They can be the exact same questions, just on the flip end of mothers. But the thing about moms is that it's not so much physical disconnection, even though mothers can physically be disconnected. That is a thing. But generally, hey, Miss Tony, how you doing? Generally, with mothers, it looks a little different. Why not go into how this affects our relationships? Well, I can. I just didn't go into it in this particular one. Can you do a live on standards? Yes, I can. Raquel, stop starting all that mess. Give us more. Mine, look what you didn't start it. So yes, I'll do. That's a good one. Do it on standards, but then I need you to pose it as a question. What about standards? And I guess how you set standards. But yeah, so questions about mothers and how the dynamics of mothers, because mother and daughter relationships look different from mother and son relationship. So actually just even saying that helped me come up with the topic for next week. It's more of an emotional disconnection with moms. I totally agree. All right, guys, I'll let you guys get back to your Friday nights, living your life, your best lives. I will chat with you guys soon. Remember to sign up for my go on my website, ericacares2.com. If you have not signed up, sign up for my blog. I will be sending out, I know before the ends week, about this week. So the goal of how I'm going to do it is I'm going to do the lives, and then by Sunday, I will do a blog about kind of encapsulating everything that I kind of went over in this week, but it'll be in written form. That way you can read it. You'll have the videos, because my goal is just for people to get whole and get healed. And I don't like using the word whole because whole is a tricky word, but I just want people to have an opportunity to get healed. Standards for getting to know once I'm transitioning into dating. Okay, that's cool. True. Love you too. I don't know how to sign up. Okay. Go on my website. It's ericacares2.com. If somebody can type it in there, it's on here too. It's on a little scroller scrolling past, but it's www.ericacares2.com. And then when you click it, there will be a pop-up that comes and you just sign up for the newsletter. It's just as simple as that. And basically what I'm doing is I'm a coach, but I'm changing my naming. I'm actually a relationship strategist. And what I do is I help people strategize what they, yeah, thank you, Vian. That's the website. I help people strategize how they want to maneuver through their relationships, what they want to do, how they want to move. So it's not just how I move in, but like, do you want this relationship? If you do want this relationship, how do you move forward? If you don't want this relationship, how do you get out of it? So just different points of it. So just go in there, sign up, and then you'll get the you haven't missed much. The blog is on the website, but I haven't sent any out to anybody yet. All right, guys, I will chat with you soon. Talk with you later. Thank you, Raquel.